Both are present facing all the people of the world, conveying a new morality for social transformation. Islam and Christianity are a moral force because its metaphysic and humanistic character. Islam and Christianity not only carry teaching in vertical aspect between human and God, but also carry teachings which contain horizontal aspects among human beings. So, both religions respect humanity. The problem is how to understand Islam in Indonesia. While many people commonly speak of Islam and Muslim in all-encompassing terms, there are many interpretations of Islam and many different Muslims. Muslims come from diverse nationalistic, ethnic, and tribal groups and cultures, speak many languages, and practice distinct customs. The majority of the world's Muslims live in Asia, particularly in Indonesia, not the Arab world. Only about 1 in 5 of the world's Muslims are Arabs. The largest Muslim communities are in Asia, particularly in Indonesia. And millions of Muslims live in the US, Europe. They represent the second or maybe the third largest religion in all these countries. Because of globalization and immigration, today the major cities where Muslims live are not only exotic sounding places such as Cairo, Damascus, Baghdad, and Mecca, but also London, Paris, New York, and Milan. Religiously, culturally, economically, and politically, there are multiple images and realities of Islam and Muslims. Muslim women's dress, educational, professional opportunities, and participation in society vary significantly too. Women in some Muslim societies cannot drive cars, like in Saudi Arabia, like in Sudan, and are sexually segregated, but women in many other parts of the Muslim world, like in Indonesia, they can drive cars, ride motorcycles, and even fly planes. Some Muslim women are required by law to cover purely in public, while others are not. A growing number of women are choosing to cover their heads, while others do not. In Indonesia, Muslim women make up the majority of university students. Indonesian Muslims convinced that gender equality and women empowerment are consistent with Islamic values. In other parts of the world, Muslim women lag behind men in even basic literacy. In Indonesia, Muslim women serve in government, parliaments, and even have headed governments to be president, while in other Muslim countries, women are still struggling for the right to vote and run for office. Now, what kind of religious commitment of the founding fathers of Indonesia? Indonesia is a unique case, despite the fact that the majority of Indonesians are Muslims. Indonesia is not an Islamic state. Indonesia is not like Malaysia or Saudi Arabia. Indonesia's state ideology is not Islam, but it's based on Pancasila, 5 principles, namely belief in God, a just and civilized humanism, the unity of Indonesia, people's power, and social justice. This is 5 principles of Pancasila. These 5 principles are compatible with the universal values of human rights. They are also conducive to building peace within the community. The choice of Pancasila as the foundation on which the state and nation live is based witnesses the victory of nationalistic Muslims and Christians, the victory of moderate Muslims and Christians in Indonesia. This fact also proves that since the ancient Muslims and Christians key figures have put into account the importance of maintaining pluralistic and democratic value in shared life as nation in Indonesia. This fact also of pluralism shall always be manifested and may not be negated in the life of the state and nation. Also, the active roles played by both Christians and Muslim leading figures, especially those of the founding fathers in embodying peaceful, tranquil, inclusive, and pluralism respecting Indonesia, shall always be borne in mind and disseminated. These two ideas are of considerable usefulness and can serve as the inspiration generator for the efforts to foster peace, justice, and humanity in Indonesia. Pancasila as the common good in overcoming prejudice. How it works. The founding fathers prepared the Indonesian Constitution based on Pancasila. This constitution has been amended 4 times until 2002. Yet the regulation concerning religion, as stipulated in Article 29 of the 1945 Constitution, has remained the same. The articles reads, "The state is based on the belief in one supreme God. The state guarantees the freedom of each of its citizens to embrace their respective religion and to perform religious duties in accordance with their respective religion and belief. The provision of the article expressly indicates the Indonesia state comprehensively guarantees the religious freedom of its citizens." The thing was underlining here is that Indonesian Christian and Muslim eminent leaders hold inclusive, moderate, and tolerant disposition. They are of the belief that the importance of maintaining harmonious togetherness as a nation, as well as the significance of upholding human dignity and esteem regardless differences of religion, and the importance of imposing human basic rights, especially the rights of religious freedom for all inhabitants, including the minority and vulnerable groups. The endeavors made by both the Christian and Muslim community to establish a strong and solid civil society by upholding democracy, reinforcing human rights, and promoting justice, including in it the gender justice, have become more apparent. The strong indication towards this tendency has made clear by the advent of a number of legislation and public policies, such as Act number 39 of 1999 of Human Rights. As far as religious life is concerned, this act lays down in Article 22 that every individual is given a free choice for embracing his or her own religion and belief and for performing his or her duties in compliance with the religion or belief thereto. The problem is regarding law enforcement. At the level of policy and legislation, the guarantee granted that by the state for the freedom of advocating any belief in Indonesia is sufficiently adequate. The problem lies in the practical level of law enforcement. Law enforcement on all policies is to a considerable extent experienced by the social, political situation and condition of the government within a certain period of time. Should the central government adopt strong and firm measures in the application of laws, then the implementation on all public policies will go as desired. On the other hand, if the central government adopts a weak and infirm disposition, the implementation of rights laws will meet with barriers and handicaps. Yeah, this is the big problem. In addition, other matters which have often hampered the enforcement of democracy, the enforcement of fulfillment of human rights, and also the promotion of peace and justice in Indonesia had been related to the current economic and political gaps. The failure of the government in realizing social welfare and also improving the intellectual life of the nation is the reason for certain Islamic groups resorting to committing destructive acts of vandalism.